for coming to the October 25th high availability work group call. And what I'm CP, and it looks like we had a potential item here to have a BFD ECMP convo, but I was asked to move that out to November 1st by Prince. So that'll be next week. And oh, still letting a couple people. Okay. And so we did have some comments on, I think it was PR 244 to address some comments there. Did you guys have something you'd like to cover first, or should we jump into looking at that? I'll go ahead and pull up the PR then. Share my screen. And Gohan, I don't have it in front of me. Did you say it was 244?
Oh, yeah, I think I remember last time, isn't that the we'll add more metadata information, or is that going to be discussed in this meeting already or no?
No, not yet. Go on. I've gotten busy with something else. I think I'm still finalizing the rewrite thing.
Okay. Okay. So that part is not really right. So then what else we can discuss?
So I have a short feedback about the site APIs.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you want to present, Marian, or do you want me to jump to a certain section?
No, just state it verbally. So I looked at the HA session, and my understanding is that there are a few assumptions made when this API was defined. And I think that it's better to add more information to HA session APIs instead of like trying to make these assumptions. So first is that HA session doesn't have a source IP, only a peer IP. I think we should also specify the source IP as part of this object. And then with regards to encapsulations, so there is a diagram that shows basically UDP encapsulation, if I'm not mistaken, for a tunnel between active and standby. This could also be generalized as a choice, because we potentially could have other options like some of the standard encapsulations, which wouldn't really change anything, just different encapsulation. And same thing for heartbeat. I think we should either try to provide a clear understanding what kind of heartbeat is used for this, should be used for the HA session, either in terms of, again, encapsulation, or maybe more specifically in terms of the protocol, because right now it just has heartbeat and provides the intervals, and that's it. So for the network, for the management, it's also important to understand what kind of encapsulation is used for heartbeat.
I see. So for the encaps, you mean in the add the encap in the HA, the session, this object itself. I see. Yeah, I think the data path sync is what is using the UDP encapsulation. So the control plane uses the gRPC, which will be on TCP. But
yeah, control
yeah,
plane is part of the code, but to data plane, we
got
don't
it.
have really an access.
Right. So I'd left that encap to the this thing. Okay, I can add an encap there, which will make it this thing. Maria. That makes sense. I agree.
And what do you think about the source IP? Because we are not really tied to any
That too.
specific loopback IP, right?
Correct. That makes sense too, because
Okay.
you may have something on in the network. Yeah, the source IP makes sense too. I'll add that. Thank you.
Thanks, Marian. Was that everything?
Yeah, for now, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Maria.
The source IP will be the CNIP, or would it be basically the link IP address?
Typically, the CNIP.
Yeah.
We can make it. Yeah, we can make it specified.
Yes, so, sir. The heartbeat is also on the data plan, right? So
Is
or
Yeah. So I think in the this thing it is handled by the implementation, the DPL. Yeah.
No. I think heartbeat. Actually, there are two places. I was a little confused at one point where it said the heartbeat will go through the control channel, but then when I looked at some of the state machine, it was actually coming in when the heartbeat basically expires. It is communicated through the data plane deep from the DPU side, and then it just goes up from the bottom up and to inform it that, hey, that we have lost the heartbeat and we should now initiate a switchover. So I just wanted to also see if we can clarify this thing in the document.
Yeah. So no. Did we say somewhere? Let me check and see if we say that it is through the control plane. But this thing is, if it is, then it must be a typo somewhere. But it is through it is handled via the DPU itself directly, not in the state machine.
Basically,
And
DPC.
yeah, you are right. Yeah. This thing is right. So when we lose heartbeat, there's a notification that comes to the state machine that we lost the PR, right? Not through the state machine. So,
okay.
The heartbeat
you know where
packet
it was?
itself.
Actually, it's in the beginning. In the
Okay,
beginning of the document, yeah. I mean, if you look at it,
if you can,
it's yeah. I'll point this one out probably.
If you point that to me, that'll be great.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I'll do that.
Yeah.
That's Vijay, right? Yeah. Sanjay. Sorry.
This Sanjay.
Yeah. Okay.
The heartbeat packet itself is constructed by the control plane and handed it off. Are we going to plan to accommodate all those items in Sonic?
This is the heartbeat packet itself is constructed in the DPU in the implementation, not from Sonic. Really.
is there a place to define the frequency of the heartbeat?
Yeah, it's there it is go on. It's there in the session itself. We say what is the frequency and what is the number of misses that we can accommodate.
I'm trying to check. Okay.
You come to the Psi API, the HA session towards the.
I'm listening towards the one.
It's in Psi API definition. Yeah, one more section down.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah. I think if you come down, there's a Psi.
DPU message types,
Oh.
message notification data, slow sync.
Oh, is this no? I think this would be off this thing, Christina, off the PR snapshot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me stop displaying while I find it. Okay. But it's in there.
It's in there.
Okay.
Yeah, but I guess I don't quite understand this one. So Because in the heartbeat you mentioned like specify the DSCP, those things, right? But I didn't really see the DSCP attribute in the heartbeat attribute.
Mm.
I think there's somewhere mentioned like heartbeat need to, the packet need to be prioritized, certain DSCP value, right? So, but I didn't really see that, you have a way to specify the DSCP in your heartbeat.
The
Yeah,
packet precedence or?
Yeah.
yeah, the DSCP. Yeah, I think that is you can add that if it is this thing. Yeah, it makes sense to be configurable. Go on, you can add that. But the heartbeat interval and the miscount, it's there in the HA session attribute. Go
And
on.
what is this named pipe here? What is named pipe? Why do we need this named pipe for the
This is the
hardware?
stream. This is the stream. When we are syncing the packets, we want to have a stream between. So I think this is the one I was saying in the beginning, right? If there is any other suggestion, please do. But I think we need some stream between in the SI API from the DPU implementation, so we can send the flow sync packets up via the control plane. This is the name pipe.
So what is the string here? I don't quite get that part.
Which one?
This this attribute, what does it mean? I mean,
Oh, this is the name. Uh, uh, this thing for the named pipe.
yeah, what is this name pipe?
This is a standard Unix and Linux FIFO.
Why do we need it?
This is the stream, Gohan. So we need uh, stream of messages. For example, when we are doing the flow sync, the bulk sync, this thing, we want to be able to send a stream of messages up to Sonic, so Sonic can pass it on to gRPC channel, right? So this is that stream.
I'm sorry. Maybe it's the only me. I'm not getting at what kind of strings we want.
So if you,
Yeah.
can you go up, Christina, if you don't mind?
Okay, what are we looking for?
We are looking for that picture of bulk sync where it shows the control plane sync and DP sync channel.
Oh, so way up then? Okay.
Yeah, just
Here?
a little bit up.
Okay.
One picture up. Yeah. So this is between the DPU and the Sonic.
Mm-hmm.
Go on. So they need this. There is a stream of messages that go through from the DPU Sonic, and Sonic needs to relay these messages to the other DPU. So the relay happens through this
So
through
the
this name
control
pipe.
plane channel is used.
Yeah.
gRPC bidirectional stream.
Maybe I didn't quite get it. I mean, this is a heartbeat, right? So
No, not heartbeat. This is the flow sync messages. This is the bulk of the messages, not the heartbeat.
no, is this the dash HCP channel? Name the pipe. See. Oh, this is not heartbeat, but it was
This is the
was
bulk sync. Yeah, this is all the messages that is there in the gRPC definition. Go on.
what message
The
do we
CP sync
relay from image? Is it relay from the
flow sync.
control plan to the data plan, or from the data plan to the control plan?
Yeah, these are the bulk sync messages. Go on.
Data plane to control plane.
Yeah.
So Gohan, what really happens is that if you want to do this bulk sync, you are just taking a snapshot of your flow table and then just taking those entire flow snapshot, and then you are syncing it between active and standby. And that information needs to go from, really retrieved through some site call, and be able to bring it up to the sonic level in order for you to really sync across, right? And that's where basically, this whole information is, that this is how you do it. There is not no information that is coming in, so to speak, from the DP sync and then to the DPU and then going to the CP, right, to the control plane. It's just that there is already a data in the flow table that needs to be brought up and be able to be synced. That's it.
Mm. But what is the formatting that is this the Sonic just relay those informations? You
This
don't
is the
don't
format. The format is defined. It's in that. It's in the flow sync messages. We have defined the format. It's visible, but the format is visible. This is whatever is the flow sync message for the bulk sync that we have defined both in gRPC and in SI.
Right, for the gRPC is not related to Psi, right? That's inside Sonic.
That's inside Sonic, exactly.
yeah. So then
But
I
it's
didn't.
what I meant, Reshma, was it has one-to-one. It's the same info. We need it to be
Okay.
translated. Yeah, but you'll see the fields are
So
similar.
there is a side dash HA flow sync message notification data. Is that the same flow sync message you are talking about where this named pipe, or is it different?
The same structure, yes, same structure.
So I assume you have notification. Is it going through standard side notification mechanism to get it, or you have to get from the named pipe?
My assumption is the name pipe will be much more efficient. Then you guys are more this thing because this is the bulk, right? We might be syncing millions of flows.
Okay, so we open this named pipe and then we get the messages, and the message format is this defined in this which is
In the
this
header, yeah,
the header file, this
flow sync,
flow sync message notification data.
correct.
Oh, we don't really have a callback mechanism, right? So for that, right? So it's more like, okay, I have to open this named pipe, and so this named pipe available in the container or no?
Should be available. Should be made available. That's what I would say. Between this is the pipe between the DPU and wherever we want to run the CP, the control plane. Go on.
Will this be part of the new Dash container or it has to be added somewhere else? Probably
Yeah, Gohan.
SWSS.
Yeah, I think Gohan was thinking sync SWSS. I think right
Mhm.
lab. I think we had some discussion where Gohan was suggesting we should put it in SWSS.
No, sync D, right?
Synced.
So you
Sync
sync
D.
D,
Okay,
right?
sorry, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, SyncD makes more sense to put this functionality in SyncD.
Okay. Is this the only message that we're getting from the name pipe, or we have other information getting from this named pipe?
Yeah. So this thing was, I think this is the bulk of the messages where I think we need to be more efficient. So I thought the FIFO would be much faster. There are other notifications, for example, HA state notifications, etc., that can come as regular SI notifications.
Okay. Where do we define those notifications? Did we define those notifications?
Those are also defined in the same .h, the header file.
Okay, but I didn't see the callback
If you
functions, right? So is there a callback function to send those notifications? My understanding, okay, you are saying like for the flow sync, since it's a bulk of data, so we use name pipe to get it, right? So for other state state, we're getting from the notification, but is it notification also defined in the side attribute? Is there a callback? What is it? where's the notification callback?
The notification itself, the structure is defined. Right there, the DPU message, and then there is one more below, Christina. You see the DPU control message notification.
This one here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's one more, which is the HA role status. So what do you suggest? Can we take these also on the same name pipe, Gohan? Is that a better thing instead of doing separate two different mechanisms? That's
No,
what,
no,
that's
no.
what,
I'm just trying to
that's what.
understand, right? So if it's if it's a no, if it's I'm fine. I think there's a there's a bulk sync wire more efficient channel versus those slow messages. But I'm just wondering, like, if it's going through the standard side callback, is those callback function also defined or no? So that's part I'm trying to understand.
Maybe Gohan, since
Yeah.
I don't know,
So
could go ahead.
here the ReDis is not involved, so there is no notifications. So we'll have to define a callback in some way if we are not using the pipe.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if this there's in the size switch attribute, there's like FDB event notification, other notification, right? So usually come with a callback function. If we're going some of the notification going through that, did we define a callback function so that the SyncD can register, and then if there's a notification, you can get those.
Right, they need to be defined if not, because ReDis is not used. Yeah.
I see. So maybe we leave it with the in the channel in the name pipe. These other there are less frequent notifications too, which is all the structures are defined here, which is this HA role status change, the DPU sync. Maybe that also we can get through the channel, the name pipe itself.
So that part, maybe you can help me here, right? So usually, when you have a large data versus some control messages, right? So usually
Mm.
the control message is a higher priority. You need to get like quicker,
Don't want
and
head of
for
them.
the data, right? So because of the bulk, right? So is your name pipe also have a priority setting there? Like we can, if there's some messages we need to process more quickly, does it get ahead of some of the flow data there?
We can construct something on top of the FIFO. We could do, if we wanted to, we could put priority to go on. But I think
Okay.
we'll need to put one layer on top of the FIFO.
Then maybe if it's better to use two different channels so that you don't need like this priority things, right? So
Mhm.
I mean the name the pipe just getting all the data, and then you have another to get all control messages. Does
Sure.
it make
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, I didn't see any this thing, so I thought it might be okay to put it, but I think in a longer this thing, it might be good to keep it separate. Sure. So I think I've defined the structures here, the actual content of each of the notifications. I think we need to define the callback function also, right? In below, if you're going to use the other this thing, I'll look at some examples. I haven't done it myself before. I can look at some examples to add a callback function into this thing.
yeah,
But yeah,
so
this is the content. I thought this would give an idea on what we are trying to communicate.
yeah, I can give you, put in the chat window some of the callback function we
Some.
define so
Yeah,
that um if for this this heartbeat, right? So I'm just curious, uh, you know, uh, maybe why we didn't reuse BFD for the heartbeat. because that's what's well defined, and you can use that to get same mechanism to get notifications if it's been lost, right? So
Okay, so there is I don't know, there are things we can do in the heartbeat. I mean, this thing actually, which is, you could have um, maybe BFT also, the multi-hop. I'm not sure if it does this thing. We could, for example, spray the heartbeat so that we utilize multiple paths, etc.
BFT should have multi-path support
And
also.
so,
Multi-hop,
yeah,
I mean.
multi-path. I'm not sure if the multi-hop actually does probing of multiple paths, or is it just non-local, not more than TTL 0, or I'm not sure if it does probes multiple paths too. You can check that and see.
And you have infrastructure that would do that, probe multiple paths?
We could add in that, yeah, in the implementation.
Okay.
Jay, can you add the time unit for your heartbeat interval? Is that a millisecond?
It's configurable.
It's configurable.
Yeah, but what is the unit? Is that a millisecond?
Milliseconds, yes.
Yeah, I think it's worth to mention that in the comment for that side attribute. The side attribute section.
Got it. Okay. Could you just leave a comment there too? I'll note it down. If anything else, also please leave a comment.
I just did. If you refresh, later you can get to those comments. Yeah. So this time granularity, right? So yeah.
Sanjay, just to clarify, the name pipe is opened when Sonic requests the bulk sync and then closed by the DP at the end of the bulk sync, right?
It's closed is not necessary. It is open. I think when we say the HS session, that's when the pulsing gets open. The channel gets open.
Unless the pipe contains, if there are separate callbacks implemented for non-flow related information that needs to be passed from DPU to control plane, what is the use of having the pipe open after bulk sync is completed?
Yeah, if we move all the other notifications out, we could close it.
Okay.
Close it and move it out of the FIFO itself, right? Then there is nothing going on with this thing. Then we could close it. That was not.
But because there's a bunch of how do I know I'm getting all the flow data, because the name pipe, how do I know that I have get all the data and now we can close the name the pipe.
So that would be, I think there is if you wanted to close, there is a notification which says bulk sync end. I mean, bulk sync is complete. In the state machine, if you see, there is a notification that comes from the DPU, because only the DPU knows if everything is this thing, right? The data path knows whether it's synced, all the bulk sync is complete. There is a notification that comes up that says bulk sync done.
No, how does it know that? I mean, let me ask you this question. I thought the bulk sync is going to be really initiated by the state machine. Yeah, Sonic, because the state machine is running in Sonic. It is going to initiate it, and when it is going to initiate this thing, it is actually reading this entire flow table, the snapshot of the flow table, in batches, right? Because it's going to get some, and then it's going to go again, and then start, from the offset that it basically. So it is doing it. It's setting over. Yeah. So this is this. I believe that probably Gohan is asking like this, but then eventually, there's the last one. So either you know it that you have this, the total number of entries in the flow table snapshot, and then it's all maintained at the Sonic level. Or so why the notification has to come from the side?
That is so that is where the stream comes into this thing. So what happens is once you start flow sync, right? You can't. I think I've explained that in the top, right? It's better. We cannot. It's not like just reading a bulk read and dumping to the other side, right? So there is I mean, like we have talked in before meetings, right? So there is this thing where there is optimizations where in the DPU you could request flows for a particular slice, for example, right? So the next few have to be from this slice. So that is where the stream helps, where there is some feedback coming back from the other side DPU, the standby DPU, which is receiving a sync, which comes via this DPU sync message. And the implementations can control which flow sync messages are going at what time, right? What is the sequence of the flow sync messages? So it can be optimized on the other side. And uh, so once that is complete, the DPU knows that it has run through the whatever the perfect sync. We have run through the whole thing once. And once we complete the perfect sync, there might be any catch-up sync that we need, whatever is needed. Once that is done, the implementation knows all the flows have been synced, all the bulk sync has been completed. Once that is done, the DPU notifies that the bulk sync is done. So if you look from Sonic, there's a bulk sync start. The actual sequencing of what flow sync messages go at, in what sequence, right? That is controlled by the data path. And once the data path completes all the flow sync messages, there is a notification that says the bulk sync is done. Right?
Okay. So when you say data path, essentially it's Psi, right? So
Correct.
you are expecting, so you are expecting Psi to keep the state of this entire thing, that hey, what it has been sending it out above to Sonic to be synchronized to the other side, and then eventually when it basically sees that okay, it is done giving it out everything, then it's going to say that I'm done, right?
Right.
So okay.
So when you say Psi, I mean the actual implementation, the data part implementation, the TP implementation. It's not the Psi layer.
What else then? What other implementation do we have in the data path?
No,
is it P4?
Yeah. No. No, I think terminology-wise, what I meant was this is the actual per implementation, whatever we develop, right? That is the Psi.
Right.
Yeah, what you meant. Yeah.
So I want to really just clarify one thing, Vijay, when I started out in the documentation.
Mm-hmm.
So Krishna, if you don't mind searching for the heartbeat, and then there is a section there. Yeah, this one. Thank you. So this one, I think I probably either misread or misinterpreted the last couple of sentences in this section, which says that it can be quite aggressive and can be sensitive to such delays if you use the same channel as other control plane messages, right?
Correct.
So correct. What I probably misread or misinterpreted was that you probably meant that use DSCP to really differentiate heartbeat from other control plane messages, but it still use the control plane channel. But I guess that wasn't your intention, right?
That is not it cannot be it should not be the control plane channel itself.
Okay.
Is what I'm trying to say here.
Okay.
Because you would have, if you had a very large batch of say flow sync messages, which is going as one message out, right, in the gRPC channel between the two, your heartbeat would get blocked behind that.
Right.
Which would be the idea. Yeah.
So then you are right. Actually, you have it correct in the documentation. Probably there is no need to do this thing. But the only thing, I guess, we need to really define the DSCP part. So in other words, what's going to happen is that
I will add that. Yeah.
Sure. So in the DP sync channel, right? Or sorry, in the DP sync channel, there will be heartbeat messages. There will be the messages which are doing the inline flow synchronization, and there will be messages that are also doing any synchronization of those flows which have been reevaluated because of perhaps flow resimulation, right?
Correct. They would look, yeah.
There will be three types of messages that I'm expecting, right, in there, right?
Right.
And then do we have DSCP, different DSCP for those, all those 3 type of messages?
Typically, the heartbeat should be higher priority. Otherwise, we should, we don't want to have false.
Right. And then just one quick question on this update of flow due to flow resimulation or whatever, right? When those flows get updated and then they are synchronized.
Hanif, can I ask a follow-up question on the heartbeat?
Yeah.
Is this heartbeat just the purpose to make sure the network connectivity is there, or does it go through more, things to check? I mean, is the whole purpose to make sure the network connectivity is there between these peers, right? So
Correct.
or there is more on the heartbeat to check. I mean, basically, does it? It sounds like it doesn't really go through the sync process to make sure sync process is running, right? So just the heartbeat is just checking the network connectivity is there or not, right? So
correct, aliveness. Yeah.
And what is this a protocol like? Is it UDP or or a special protocol? What is this?
This is over UDP.
Also UDP, but do we define the port, or can we define the port? Because some port may be blocked.
Oh, I see. Okay. For the.
I think one of the goals of the HA work group was to define or figure out what we were going to use as the protocol, right? Marian, back in the day?
Yeah, Bud might
No,
have
they're
more.
talking about heartbeat specifically.
So probably should define the
Now, just because one provider wants to use UDP, does everybody need to use UDP, or is that what we're saying here?
No, it's left to the
Rohan?
DPU, but
That's what I was talking about earlier. Right. It needs to be reflected inside. And then if it's UDP, then it could be additional attribute specifying a port.
Yeah.
Or are we all agreeing it's UDP, or are we all thinking about it?
Okay. I think if it's just to check network connectivity, maybe using the BFD is well defined would be better, right? So then, because that ensures interoperabilities and because
There is an earthquake warning here.
yeah, just give me 1 second. It was a pretty strong. Pretty strong tremor.
We just had one here in the Bay Area right now. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we just had.
Do you guys need to get off the call?
No.
Oh my God.
It settled down. It was pretty strong though.
Okay, jeez. Wow.
Yeah, we just had a hard earthquake.
Magnitude 5.1, 12 miles from San Jose. I just looked it up.
Oh wow, 5.1.
That's big.
Everything was shaking for sure. The floor.
I'm in San Jose.
Yes,
So we started to hear some fire alarm or something somewhere. So I don't know.
Jeez.
So,
You know the epicenter, 12.1 miles in which direction?
Probably towards the, what is that, Hamilton, Mount Hamilton.
Yeah, maybe Mount Hamilton. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a fault there.
Not too far from where we are.
Jeez, you guys, wow. So Gohan and team, like, should we think about whether we want to use BFD, or should we just say this is what we're doing moving forward? Or should we talk about it more next week?
We should think more on this one, right? So I think, yeah, I guess
So next week, people can come back with the pros and cons of using BFD versus an alternate.
Yeah. So I think BFD, if the multipath actually does the BFT multi-hop, right? It's called my BFT multi-hop. I think if that does multipath probing, probably we could use BFT. That sounds good.
Oh, this probe uses multipath probing?
Yeah, you could actually. What I'm saying is, it's left to the DPU. We could do multipath probing. We do that today.
Is
Oh,
that part going to be defined or?
Then you need to specify the source port
This is
range,
up.
right? So I don't know how you did the multipath probing, but I think you need to like specify the source port range because you need to generate different entropy, right? So
Yeah, so now that's the thing. Do we need to specify the source port range or just the dest port, right? Is that do we also have firewall rules which kind of look at the source port and drop it, or it will be just dest port? If you want, we can define a
if
range
that,
of source ports.
but are you saying we're using a range of dashboard to cover the multiple paths?
No. What I meant was source port will change. So when you say define, you saying in the administrator has to define what is the range of source ports, or does the admin specify just the dest port? Left to the this thing to change the source port, right? If we really want entropy.
Yeah.
I was just asking what gets defined in the API.
Maybe I think actually maybe we think more. You are talking about this multipath, right? So isn't that maybe the format should be similar to the flow that you are trying to encapsulate, so that it shares the same fate with those flow, right? So the encapsulated flow. Maybe that's better, or we're just trying to cover all.
Flows will be in lot of flows, right?
But you are encapsulating them, assuming that is that also going multipath, so that is a standard, like a VXLAN headers or some kind of headers, so that all the flow, all this, the DP sync flow are going through one path, or they are actually going through multiple paths.
The DP sync message itself. Yeah, that is a good. Valky, I don't recollect whether we in the DP sync itself, the outer encap packet. Valky, let me check.
Hello?
Let me get back. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can Valky.
Yeah. So the DP sync packets also go through multiple paths. Yeah, we set the source port based on entropy.
Oh. Okay.
At the beginning of the HA discussion, I think initially it was said that we will have a specific path, but I'm okay with any path actually. Yeah. Any available path would be good.
No. What do you mean by specific path? I mean, there is a.
Yeah, I think there was some restriction
Marianne's?
about. Yeah, exactly. In Marianne's proposal.
Keep talking. I'll pull it up.
Is this specific path better or multipath better? Because I don't know like which one, because I think the data is not huge, right? So, but if it's going multipath, maybe some path goes wrong and you would have trouble for those flows, right? So if it's going through one path, then either all of them good or one, none of them good, right? So
if the flow sync happens without a specific path, it can go take any path, then the heartbeat also can take any path. But if it is taking strictly one path, yeah, whichever path the flow sync takes, right? If it has many paths available or just one path, then the heartbeat should also take the same. Yeah, as Gohan was mentioning.
So are we suggesting that we have to pin a path? Because, I mean, if you look at the picture that initially is shown for this one, the connectivity is through the fabric, right?
Yeah.
If the connectivity is through the fabric, then we don't have any say in what path the packet is going to take. So all the DP sync or heartbeat or even all the control channel packets, they're all going to take basically go through the fabric, right?
Yeah,
So if
yeah.
they're going through the fabric, then we have no way of determining what path it's going to take, right?
Yeah, yeah, but we do have a choice that we can tell tell all these packets to go to a specific path, or they can go multiple paths, right? So we do have a choice on that part. Whether we want all of them go to a specific path, which we don't know what is that specific path, but we know all of them will go to a specific path, versus we are randomize those interface and let them go to all the paths, right? So we do have, we can make that choice, right? So I just want to think that when we what choice do we make on that front, right? So there's a pro and cons. I think because if it's going through all paths, right? So maybe one path will be, will be will have issue. Then you have some flow, nothing, but not all the flows, right? So then if we go to a path, then at least
Yeah, I
when
think that's it.
it's a binary failure, right? So both your probe and the heartbeat and those flow sync message will share, and your heartbeat can detect that issue.
But then you also need to make sure that the heartbeat and
Folks,
data packets are following the same path, so they need to have the same encapsulation, basically.
Yeah,
everything
exactly, right?
it has to be,
Exactly.
it
I
has
mean,
to be the same file tuple completely.
yeah,
Right, same
exactly.
source
And
code. That's the type. Yeah.
I'm going to ask a stupid question. So when you say same path or different path, are you talking ECMP versus something else when we're spraying out?
Yeah, you see, yeah. Basically, go to a set of switch,
Okay,
right? So
thanks.
don't because I'm thinking like if you're going through multiple paths, right? So then for example, some paths fail, then your heartbeat is going to have a like a 10% of failure. Let's say you have 8 parts and one of the parts fail, and you have 1/8 of the failure. Then what are we going to do in that case? I mean, is that going to be you treat it as a failure, or treat it as not a
A
failure?
reset or
Yeah, so I think there is
retransmit or
one.
something? Yeah.
Yeah, the retransmit will handle that. The problem is one, this thing, right? Every switchover is expensive, right? From the, it's not like a customer will see it. The end user will see a switchover. So I think if we preemptively switch over, let's say out of the hundreds of path, one path is flaky or not this thing, right? And we detect, we see that we lost, for 600 milliseconds, and we for some time, and then we do a switch over, right? You might
Uh,
see a few seconds of drop for the end user. This is
yeah,
my take, right? You will
yeah,
see a few seconds of drop. So switching over is not a really, if we could not switch over, it might be better,
yeah,
because if there were some flows which are not getting synced, let's say a flow got created and it's not getting synced, the TP sync mechanism handles that, right? There will be a retransmit on the TCP SYN, for example, from the client side, which will catch it up after the
No,
network
no, I,
detects.
I I
Might be a
get
better.
that part, right? But I think the problem is that, okay, so because you have this 3 times you have some threshold to detect the heartbeat you lost, right? So if it's only 1% of failure, probably you will never get that such notification to your control plane. You will not initially switch over, right?
It will not.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So in that case, but your customer is kind of experiencing some kind of issues, right? So retransmit, right? So that kind of things, it's happening, right? So you just didn't get noticed because you are probing multiple paths and the only one path is failing, but your customer is suffering.
Are you
In
talking
some
about
case,
like similar to a lossy link, Gohan, where it's like
yeah,
a gray
yeah,
failure? You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like it's just
yeah.
congested, it's not stable, but it's not down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe that part is 100% failure, and then you have whatever the flow landed on that path will getting lost, right? So you will see customer constantly not able to connect, right? So but on your detection, you just the failure just not significant. You cannot detect it, right? So I mean, how
Yeah.
do we
So,
deal
okay.
with
No,
that
not
situation?
but not just flow sync, right? Even data packets that are going through that link is going to experience drops, right?
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Of
So,
course.
so the user is going to see similar kind of behavior for the data packets also. Like those that are taking a different path, they are going to go through, but only those that are taking whatever
No,
faulty
no.
path is going.
Lofty path, yeah.
No, the data passes, for the non-sync packet, right? So it's not going through that flow sync, right? So between these two DPUs.
No.
Right?
All these are
Fabric.
going through the same class. Yeah, Fabric.
See.
No, I see, right? So here, of course, the if one of the link is dropping, right? So, maybe it, because we're seeing so many, different kind of dropping patterns, right? So sometimes it does affecting a particular flow. It's not saying, okay, if there's a drop, it will affect all the flows. I mean, usually it's the case, but seeing so many failure patterns in the cloud, there are some cases where, some weird case, it just specifically dropping a particular flow, right? So, but anyway, so that detection, I think, there is some other detection mechanism to detect that kind of failure, right? So, but you I think it's always good that your system, right, while I'm running the system, I can detect those failures myself, not rely on additional, um, indicator to do that, because there's always a question, how do you integrate those things together, right? So what I mean is that it always better, our goal is to achieve self-contained solution, right? So I mean that should be our goal. So in this, I'm just want this community to be able to to think through this this multi-pass or single pass problem, right? Because usually when we do the ECMP, we're trying to optimize for the bandwidth, right? So because it's just simply that one link cannot handle all the loads, so we're doing those ECMP, right? So, but for the control messages, right? So if the bandwidth is not really a concern, I think a simpler failure model is better, right? So
Actually, bandwidth also can be this thing going. For example, if you are talking about 5 million CPS or 4 million CPS or 3 million CPS, right? Somewhere in the millions.
Yeah.
This is CPS, right? So
Yeah.
across multiple DPUs, it can be total PPS can be quite. It's not small, is what I'm saying.
No. Yeah.
It's
No, I
not
get
small.
that, but I think uh, those DPUs, right? So different DPU sync, they don't have to take the same path, right? So each DPU they can have a
But we
pin
thought
down a
we
space.
wanted to keep the shade flared, right? Shared, right? So,
No. What I mean is that between a pair of DPU where you do the sync, right? So it just use one path. But however, you have multiple DPU, right? So they don't have to share the same path, right? Just between.
got it. Yeah. The IP
Yeah.
addresses will be changed different. Yeah, that will be CPIPs will be different. What I
Yeah.
meant was even between the bandwidth wise, if you are thinking from an appliance, and it's quite a, it's not a small amount. It's not just
But
since
the
we're talking about a large CPS. That's all I
but the
wanted.
but the yeah, but the 5 million, I think it's compared with the switching ASIC, it's like nothing, right? So I mean to be uh and those are
Five
the
into
small
there might
packets,
be.
right? So those are the small packets. In terms of bandwidth, it's not really.
So the other this thing I was trying to what I meant was, I mean, what I meant, it's not really small. It's a little bit of it's not completely negligible. The second thing is I think that is the more important. I mean, in my this thing, or the trade-off is between. So if you switch over when it is not necessary, right? In the sense where we could have continued, there are other parts
No.
of this
It's
thing.
it
Then
sounds you don't switch over because the signal, your heartbeat doesn't give you the enough failure rate for your signal, so you don't switch over. But in that case, your customer is having issue.
correct. So now if you switch over, if you go take, I'm taking the two options, right? If you do single path where you say that, okay, if I choose one path, if that path fails,
Yeah.
then I will call it a failure and do a switchover, right? Because then your heartbeat fails and then you switch over. Then what ends up then is you affect, if you have multiple customers on the card, all of them get affected for 2 seconds, right? I mean, that is the switchover time. You're having a blackout for 2 seconds when during the switchover because it's an expensive operation. The second, this thing is this is the two things. Either is fine. I think this is for the community to decide which is better. Right? The other side is
it's kind of an explicit failure, right? So I think the I mean, from the experience point of view, right? So it's not really it's more about okay, you have some problem, but you don't detect, the customer detect for you, right? So then they kind of mad about it, right? So why can't you detect those issues before I detect it, right? So but so therefore we're always trying to make those kind of failure more explicit so that we can detect it better, get ahead of a customer, right? So
does the Fabric have anything going today to, for example, if there is a lossy link?
Oh yeah. No, as I said, right? So definitely, there are other Fabric mechanism to detect, right? So, but however, integration that with your specific solution is also a challenge. Therefore, always we're trying to develop a self-contained system where we do not have, we do not have to rely on the external, right? And we can make our own self better, right? But I think maybe, at least we should make some options, right? So, maybe it's it's different to argue, but the different deployment type, we should have an option to say, okay, whether they want to select a single pass versus multiple pass in terms of those things, right? So
cool. Yeah. So I think the specification itself here, I don't call out any restriction on it needs to be this way or that. Right. It is this thing, but it's, yeah.
So I'm wondering, it's been an hour. I'm wondering, should we keep going or pick this up next week? And then we do have a question in the chat window about is BFD running on Sonic between the pairs? Is it more of a thorough connection check, or so we want to end on that, where we maybe answer the question in the chat and then go for next week?
Actually, when I have to drop off.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have another meeting. Yeah.
We can talk more in this. Think more about that. I'll try to answer the question on the chat window. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, you guys. As always, it's awesome conversation. I learn a lot every time I talk to you guys. I'm going to stop the recording.